All right, the next two gentlemen I'd like to introduce, Supervisory Special Agent from the FBI, Mike Glennon, and a Task Force Coordinator and Detective Sergeant from the Michigan State Police, Edward Price. These two gentlemen have been working for 10 years together fighting human trafficking. Special Agent Glennon deals with human trafficking as well as violent crimes against children. And so they're here to share what they've learned over 10 years. So let's welcome these two gentlemen.
Thanks so much for everybody for being here. Again, my name is Mike Glennon. I actually oversee all of the human trafficking and violent crimes against children for the state of Michigan. And as introduced, Ed and I have actually been working together since around 2006, I think it was, 2005 to 2006. So since then, we developed a task force, and we started with literally probably about 3 members. Since that time, we're now upwards of 20 members that are working within the southeast Michigan area. We also have an additional 4 task forces throughout the rest of the state. So we were there back in the day when no one really wanted to hear about human trafficking, really didn't believe that it was an issue. And I'm sorry to say, even within my own organization early on, I remember sitting down with some executive managers, and one of them said, "I don't even know why we deal with this. These little girls just like to have sex. What's the issue?" Okay, that's the FBI's perspective 10 years ago. Not saying the FBI as a whole, but that was an individual. Now, flash forward in the last 10 years, I think that because of the work that many of you have done to champion this cause and to really understand and get the word out there for people to gain the perspective that's necessary, the destruction that's happening, I think the tide is beginning to change. However, we still have a long way to go. Ultimately, what I want to impose and really share with you today is what is our perspective in this realm, if you will. How do we function? What do we do? What can we offer? What are our assets? And how do we function and how do we work collectively? Human trafficking, juvenile sex trafficking, there's no way that one organization or one entity can handle it onto its own. And so what we want to show you is kind of a collaborative system that we've developed in order to help us to really combat the exploiters, if you will. So do you want to say anything, sir, as we begin?
At any point while we're going through this presentation, if you have questions, shoot your hand up. We'll answer those questions. And I will say now, ahead of time, I'll let you know we don't believe in sugarcoating anything. So what you're going to see is going to be real and honest. So I apologize ahead of time if anyone gets offended by anything they see or hear.
A couple objectives. Like I said, we really want to outline what the task force is, what the collaborative law enforcement work environment is all about. Then on to that, we're going to give you kind of an overview of what sex trafficking is. That's where it's going to get a little explicit. You're going to see some things, and I apologize, but what I want you to see and understand is what is this environment really like? And after that, we're going to get into a little bit of what labor trafficking is as well. I think a lot of times people get caught up into the world of sex trafficking because it is so prevalent, but there is a significant need out there for us to really address, understand, and meet the needs of those victims that are out there for labor trafficking as well. In 2003, the FBI conducted a series of studies, and they realized at that point there's a significant problem that we have from a nationwide perspective with regard to the children that are being victimized throughout the entire country. As a result of that study, they identified 12 specific regions throughout the United States, and the Detroit metro area was one of them. And what they called that was an area of high intensity where people would come in and either recruit juveniles for prostitution, or it was a destination city where people would come to. As a result of those, what they did is they initiated a forum in order to help us to start creating more groups that we could work together and collaboratively. So that's where Ed and I kind of met each other in 2004 to 2005. We were both kind of working separate cases, and we started working some human trafficking cases together. And we realized that he's got a lot more assets than I have, and as well as I have assets that can contribute to the things that he's working with.
It's the federal government. They have money.
That's about all we have, and a lot of paperwork. He's not too happy about that. So over the course of the next few years, that initiative has grown to over 70 child exploitation task forces throughout the United States. And we're going to give you some statistics later on, but here within our state, I guess, if you will, since we've incepted, we've recovered over 500 kids throughout the state of Michigan. So just kind of show you just an imprint. In the last year alone, we're at about 92 kids. So go on. Again, what the FBI brings to the table with this particular relationship are the resources that we have. So what we realized is a lot of these exploitation networks were happening throughout the United States. And anyone that's familiar with the prostitution underworld, if you will, it kind of works in a series. And they oftentimes travel amidst major events, or they go on a circuit, it's called. They may go from Chicago to Cleveland to Detroit, then over to New York, down to Miami and whatnot. So we had a lot of circuits that were happening throughout the United States. We have a major case unit that's back at headquarters that helps us coordinate each of these activities, as well as deconflict anything that we might have. We also have a centrifuge for all of our intelligence, where we gather all the information that we have regarding recovered victims, exploiters, or individuals that have been arrested, and we house all that information. Additionally, onto that, we have some initiatives that we've provided here, Safe Online Surfing, where we're trying to teach kids and get it out in the community how to protect people and parents and educate them so that their children can partake in safe online surfing. One of the major upticks that we've seen specifically within our region is what's called sexploitation. And that's where kids are out there, they're online, and over time, they're in these different chat rooms, and they start to talk to people, and next thing you know, they're exploited. They expose themselves, and those images are then, in turn, used against them to gain more. And so that just continues to go and grow. So we try to educate and really get the word out about how to have safe online a presence, if you will. The Child Identification Program, Endangered Child Alert Program, and most importantly, the International Child Exploitation Task Force, which brings in all of our law enforcement partners from throughout the world, if you will. Research and development is some great assets and tools that we're developing. Most of the online and or sex trafficking that's happening and occurring online is predominantly taking place in about 8 to 10 different websites. So what we've developed is what's called a web scraper, which really comes in and it collects every advertisement, everything that's ever been put out there, and it puts all that into what's called aggregate data, and then it regenerates it and pushes it out for us to be able to utilize that as an intelligence base in order to attack the individuals that are going after that. So it's a phenomenal tool. Also, we have what's called the Child Abduction Response Deployment Team. And what they are is a team of specialists, as well as the Behavioral Analysis Unit. Many of you probably seen Criminal Minds, if you will. They come out as a specialty unit and will assist in major exploitation matters for us. Specifically, in this particular region, or ours, if you will, in Detroit, we've developed what's called the Southeast Michigan Trafficking and Exploitation Crimes. You may have heard us previously called the Southeast Michigan Crimes Against Children Task Force. We recently expanded the scope of what we do to better encompass all exploitation matters. Let me give you a bit of background. The federal government looks at human trafficking and violent crimes against children in two different matters. So it confuses a lot of people. We have a civil rights unit that handles human trafficking, and then we have a violent crime against children section that handles the other. So we've really tried to make the segue specifically within the state of Michigan to align those two together so that we're better aligned with a lot of our law enforcement partners as well as our service providers. So in doing so, what we've been able to accomplish is putting a task force together that handles everything, albeit from Amber Alerts, child pornography, juvenile sex trafficking, human trafficking, labor trafficking. We do it all. It's the one-stop shop so that we can meet the needs as an entire group for the community that's out there.